Hey folks, End All Be All here, and we are back with season 19 of Grand Arena. Expanded rosters is finally here, long-awaited expanded rosters. And I've been meaning to make a video about it, but I thought, it's more relevant to make a video on 5v5. 3v3, there's really nothing much which changes in my opinion. My strategy still remains the same, which is keep all GLs for offense and set an otherwise really tough defense and test the depth of your opponent's roster. That's basically going to be the strategy going forward in 3v3, and I'll briefly talk about it when I show my defenses. Let's take a look at my current opponent first. My current opponent is Rosie from the guild Pi Delta. It's got about 589k lifetime banners. Um, Yep, not that many defense, but does have three GLs just like me. And average mods, I would say that I definitely beat Rosie in terms of mods. But let's take a look at, let's talk a little bit about defenses and how I think about defenses with expanded rosters. Um, so I think your best you have to go with the trap method. The the uh, the teams that you have in the bottom zone in the front have to be really really tough teams and have to force your opponent to make tough decisions. You have to keep things like DR, CLS, gas, um, s- you know maybe Po, and all teams that you really feel that your opponent is uncomfortable against and typically tends to overkill or take something tough against. You have to keep those kind of teams over there. Things that would make them question whether or not they should their own GL against it. And at the back is where you set your next toughest teams and you set a trap. There you could put things like a GL of your own if you want, SLKR or or Ray. These are great trap teams at the back. You could also keep JKL with a really really fast Shark T. And other squads like that, which you know that your opponent might struggle against, you keep them as a trap at the back. But at all costs, all the teams that you place down, all 15 or 14 or 13 or how many ever teams you need to keep on the character zone and defense, make sure that all of them are tough teams. Don't have any easy gimme teams for your opponent. Make sure that every single team is will make them stretch their roster. That way, even if they save all their GLs for offense, they'll maximum be able to take out 4 out of your 13, 14, or 15 teams using GLs. But the other teams, they still will have to stretch themselves against. And if they even slip up against one team in 3v3, because we've got so many teams in play, uh, that will really start stretching their roster because then they have to take another good team against that to clean up or to take it down, and that really stretches the depth of the roster. So the more you spread out your teams, the more beneficial or the more tougher it's going to be for your opponent to to clear you. So you can see over here at the front, I've kept Padme, Darth Revan, Grievous, and Rex. I've seen that my opponent typically tends to struggle against Darth Revan. I've kept that over here. And, Rex is always a tricky squad. Padme, you need specific, they've got a narrow range of counters that you need to take against these. So, there's not much that my opponent can do to, to decide against that. And then at the back, I've kept a couple of trap teams. I've kept my JKL with a really fast Shark T. I think she's about 356 or so. I always prefer to keep old Ben over there with Shark T and JKL, just because if they try to take some counters and try to target your JKL or Shakti, Old Ben, every time that your Jedi allies get attacked, he gains turn meter, and then he can use the JKL's lead ability to call everyone to assist and give him a bonus turn. Shakti, obviously, very few teams can really outspeed a really fast Shakti outside of GLs. But the only way, the case in which I don't keep Old Ben in there is if I see that my enemy has got a really fast Gideon or he's got a fast Vader, where he'll be able to get a jump on my team. Getting the bonuses from Old Ben being there. That's the only case in which I would not keep Old Ben. Otherwise, I think Old Ben is the perfect third over there. And then, I've kept my CLS squad, high tenacity on both Chewy as well as CLS, plus a crit avoidance arrow just for the that JTR counter which is floating out there. And then I kept a few other relatively easier teams. I've got the FinFinPo team, which requires specific teams to take it out. So if you don't have the right teams like CL, or like Rebels or anything else like that, or really good troopers, then that squad can get a little tough as well. And I've got Nest in there under Dooku. Always can get tricky. Nothing easy. You can't really take troopers against a tenacity Nest like that. And then I've got this one is an easy squad, I think. Bo with Canderous and Armorer. But if you're running low on teams, that squad also can give you some problems. And over here again, moderate teams. I would say my toughest teams are in the bottom two zones. This one I've kept moderate teams out here. So the way I like to think about it is, if you are much better in ships than your opponent, if you feel that you can keep tougher ships on defense and have your opponent struggle against them, then I would keep your weakest teams up front blocking the ships, because you want them to get to ships and struggle, and keep your strongest teams down south. If you feel that your opponent is really, really good in ships and much better than you, then I would keep much stronger teams up top and weaker teams down below, which can potentially take out some good counters, and then tougher teams at the back as well. So that's how I like to think about it. If your opponent is really, really comfortable with ships and will get high banners and will leave trap ships for you, then set tough teams at the top. So that's the top zone, and I've kept a Treya over here. Treya has been doing really well for me in the last three season. People don't expect Treya, and there's very they typically tend to overkill it because they usually don't see it on defense as much, and that means there's less available for other squads to take out. At the least, even if it gets one shot, it will. The nature of Treya's leadership is that it sucks a lot of banners out. So that's always a good outcome. And then I've got the Hux First Order Stormtrooper and Red Trooper, which is the best non-GL First Order squad that you can keep on defense. I like to keep Crew on offense just to handle some of those clone teams, Rex clone teams, which are out there. So Crew and Fox, I think they do a really good job of cleaning that up. I've got Maul over here. I've got my Asajj with Newt and Zombie in there. That's a favorite of mine. It's been doing pretty well. And then I've got Mon Mothma with a really fast Kara, about 315 or so, and Biggs. I like Kara in there because in case your opponent takes in troopers, Kara has got a lot of anti-Empire synergy, and she can stun the troopers and disrupt the train at least. Same thing with Vader. Vader is also Empire. He can potentially get stunned if Kara gets a turn. Um, Biggs again, once he gets damaged by Empire, he gets a turn as well, and then he can get some sort of turn meter train rolling as well. So that's the reason I've got Kara and Biggs in there, just to keep things a little tricky. All right, and then at the back, my opponent I've noticed has got a weak Malevolence, so I kept both my get two ships on defense, Negotiator as well as Malevolence. All right. Now, my opponent has kept, he's got good sisters relicked up, so he's kept both of those sisters over there. He's kept Grievous Squad with B1 and B2, which is a subpar Grievous Squad. You can take your Bounty Hunters against it, you can take Night Sisters against it. He's got Newt with Dooku and Nest, and then he's got Sith Eternal Emperor. If there's one GL that I think you should not keep on defense, it's Sith Eternal. He's just so great on offense to take against Rey, to take against Padme, Gas, all those other tough Jedi squads, even JML. I would probably keep Sith Eternal on offense. On defense, he's pretty easy to take out. I mean, even if you don't have a hard counter like SLKR or Rey, who can solo any Sith Eternal team, you can still break it down. You can take sisters in there to get rid of the sides, and then you can take troopers or a high damage dealing team to take care of a lone Sith Eternal Emperor. So it's really not much of an issue taking care of Sith Eternal, and that should be the last GL you should have on defense. All right, and then down south is where we have we've got CLS over here, which seems to be the toughest squad. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Tenacity over here. 3PO and Chewie has got low tenacity. They've got almost no incremental tenacity. And same thing over here. Commander Luke also is not modded for tenacity. He's got about 86%, but we are most bothered about tenacity on 2PO. So I'm going to use my JTR counter over there against against the CLS squad. And here it's very critical to be able to land your days at the beginning, which is why I have modded my JTR for tons of potency. I think she's got like about 120, 130% potency, and it helps that your BB-8 also gives her potency with that buff that he gives out. So you can see Daze has landed over here, and ability block, and tenacity down and expose. So I am able to keep 3PO and Chewie under control, and at the same time I am now that CLS is off the tenacity modding, I've basically decided to stun him. I couldn't land a stun, but at least landed an expose, which is why critical avoidance is so important to put on CLS, because if you're able to crit him, he gets an expose unavoidably, and then it's very easy to control him by reducing his turn meter, and which is why it's also important to mod him for tenacity so that these kind of things don't happen. He doesn't get uh, you know dazed and stunned and ability blocked like that. So pretty good outcome. 54 banners over there against the CLS squad. My camera is giving me some issues. It's having some frame rate issues, but yeah, let me see if I can get that fixed. Probably it'll have to be in the next video. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this battle. So I decided to take against Django and Droidica and uh, IG. I decided to take the Geos in there. It's a pretty hard counter. I mean, these guys have tons of dispel, tenacity down, exposes, and high damage over there. So this is a natural counter to any separatist squad, especially ones with Droidica in there, just because they dispel on their basic and gain so much turn meter. It's really amazing. So I'm just taking care of Django over here. It's not a very highly relic Django, so not a big deal. And then I save my heal for the end so that I end with full 54 banners. And there you go. That's that team taken care of. And then uh, I decide to take against the Geo squad. I decided to do something different. I decided to go with the Krennic lead over here. I typically take an EP and or Vader lead, or even I sometimes take in Moff Gideon, and Thrawn is also a great addition in there. Piet too. But I wanted to save all those characters for the back, and I wanted to see what else I could take with Vader in here. And I decided to take um, Krennic over here. Krennic lead, I've got a lot of plans for it and expanded 5v5, but I thought I could probably try something in 3v3 because he gives extra critical chance and extra potency to Vader, which is always good. Vader does miss out on the extra potency, the extra offense, which comes with his lead or with EP lead. But I felt that the extra crit chance, and then when enemies when allies crit against enemies, they apply irresistible ability block whenever they score a pretty critical hit. So, but only debuffed enemies. So I thought I might be able to take this against it because Vader will be able to get plenty of dots out there in the front and debuff everyone, and I will be able to apply ability block and get rid of a few people. So that's what I do over here. I start with Merciless. I apply debuffs on everyone except for Brood Alpha. And you can see over here the ability block lands pretty well on these guys, but I am not able to land any ability block on Brood Alpha, and that's when things start going south. And you can see over here, these guys are once they take a turn, they're not going to stop. So this was a big mistake. I should have probably overkilled it and taken my Thrawn or Gideon or EP if I hadn't kept him on defense, or some other something else which would have made Vader a pretty easy squad to take in. But I lost my Vader over there, which was pretty sad. Lost battles are not as deadly in 3v3 as it is in 5v5, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't drop any other battles, which is why I took my Empire Trooper squad against the Mon Mothma squad, because Mon Mothma is also another one of those squads where if you allow them to take a few turns, things can get out of hand. So I wanted to make sure that I go in there and take care of the squad before they get a chance to move. And I was able to do that pretty well with the Veers and Dark Trooper. I've got my Dark Trooper at Relic 5, so he was able to do a pretty good job with them. So for cleanup, since these guys were turn meter loaded, I decided to take my Night Sisters against them. Night Sisters I typically tend to save for Grievous, but since Grievous was there at the top, not at the bottom, I decided to go ahead and use my Night Sisters over here. You notice over here I don't take Zombie because obviously Zombie is on defense with Daka, with the Sarge. So, but these guys, they do plenty of damage. There's no daze or ability block on this particular squad, which means that my Daka will get plenty of turns and she won't be prevented from reviving these guys. So I, you know, and with each and every person that I revive, Daka keeps stacking health. So it's no problem at all if Talzin dies, because every time I use a basic, she gets called back from the dead, and there's tons of stacking health that Daka gets. So this happens back and forth for a little bit. I keep getting these guys' health down, and these guys keep killing my Night Sister Spirit as well as Talzin. But you can see how tanky Daka is over here, and she's able to get these guys revived no problem at all. So even in 3v3, 5v5, definitely Sisters with Talzin lead are a hard counter to even highly relict um, um, bugs. But even in 3v3, these guys tend to do a decent job, especially if they are if they are turn meter loaded like they were this time. These guys do a pretty decent job. All the basics that Daka does also has a chance to stun up to 2 people, so that's always a good outcome to have. So you see over here, these guys are pretty low on health, almost yellow on everyone, and I'm very close to getting rid of them, and there we go. We've got rid of Groot Alpha and the rest, and now it's just a question of reviving everyone and ending with full health on all, which we managed to achieve over here. So 31 banners, which is the next best outcome. I didn't want to take anything too expensive to clean that up, so that was taken care of now. All right, so let's see what's at the back. Nothing too crazy at the back, so pretty weak squads. So these are the kind of squads that you'll see on defense quite a lot in expanded rosters. So I definitely felt that I could go ahead and overkill for the rest of the squads over here. So that's another advantage of keeping your GLs on offense, like because you're not stretched thin. When you have seen everything at the back, then you can go ahead and use your GLs to overkill the 2-3 toughest teams that you have on the board, so that you don't need to worry about wasting your other A teams, the non-GL A teams on these tough teams, and you can use those to then counter other squads out there. So that's the kind of flexibility that keeping all your GLs on offense gives you. You can take care of their enemy GLs with almost the same amount of banners as if they were not GLs, because in 5v5 the 3v3 the banner differential is not as much as it can be in 5v5. Even if you undersize it, you'll get 55, 56, which is pretty close to a full side squad of 54. But in 5v5, if you undersize it, you can get 63, 64, and as opposed to 55 to 56 that you can get if you end up losing some amount of protection. Ray is again very easy to take against Grievous because of all the turn meter generation that these guys have. Ray gets plenty of stacking mastery. So the way that you do it is, if, especially if there's no Magna Guard, no taunt in there, you just do Lifeblood a couple of times and then directly take care of Grievous, and then spend all your time doing basics so that you can recover full health and end with 56 banners. So that's the way that you want to do these things over here. You can get into Ultimate once if you want, if you want to get rid of the other side droid, which is what I do over here. I want to get rid of B2. I do that over here, and then I just do basics against B1 so that I end with the full health against him. So no more lifeblood, you can see over here. Just do basics on him to end with the full health and full protection. So that's a neat 56. And then let's see, what else do I need to take in over here? I think the next toughest squad, yeah, we have Night Sister squads over there. So I decided to take in my Poggle team. This is one of my favorite teams on offense, just because there's so much of likelihood of ending with full health and full protection on this one. Because as long as B1 is around, he's always going to give you full banners for full health and full protection, and as long as uh, Django gets the finishing kill, he'll always end up with full health and full protection as well. So all you need to do is, with your B1, you need to make sure that Poggle is healed up at all times. And there's tons of extra offense on this team. Both Django as well as B1 are modded for offense, and they hit really hard. So under Poggle lead, they get extra offense. And from his unique also, they get tons of offense. So these guys end up hitting really, really hard. And even though these guys are relic up, the Night Sisters, well, except for Night Sister Spirit, but these guys are hitting extremely hard and doing a really good job of taking care of the Night Sisters. So here you can see there's a little bit of health missing, a little bit of protection missing on Poggle, which is why I didn't end with full health and full protection. But 53 banners is a decent outcome against Night Sister teams, especially in 3v3. And then what else do I do? I think I decide to go in against the other Night Sister team with gas, and I decided to go undersized over here because gas is going to prevent revives, so zombie revives are not going to matter in any case. So that's what I'm going to do over here. It's supposed to be the Acolyte Cheese team, but if you've got anything which does massive AoE damage or who can go around stealth, like Bando, for example, then it's really not much of an issue taking care of the Acolyte Cheese. In this case, as you'll see, this is pretty much overkill. They'll apply Plague, but they're not going to lose any health. So that's what I do over here. I take care of, do one big AoE, take care of both of the side sisters, and then finally take care of zombie. So I end with about 53 banners over there. Now let's see, what else am I going to take? I think the next battle that I have is going to be against, yes, that's against New Dooku and Ness. So I still have my JML, and this was probably overkill. I could have used my bounty hunters against this. I could have used tons of other teams that I had on offense, but decided to just overkill it with my JML, since the teams at the back are really not much of an issue. So that's what I do over here. Cam is really great under JML. That extra source of armor shred, it's great. And he's apart from Gas, he's the only other Jedi who's capable of applying daze. So that's really great to see as well. So you can see over here, I've got her down at red health. I'm just recovering protection over here where I can. So that's one thing that Nest is really useful for, is you can delay on her and help to recover some health and protection. I'm calling those who are less on health and protection, I'm calling them to assist just to top them up. And there you go. So all of my teams are, I think a little bit of protection was missing on JML. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing pretty good so far. Apart from that one drop battle, I've been getting 53, 54. So pretty okay so far. So Empire and Rebels over here, we will take care of that a little later. Oh yeah, let's just go ahead and take care of it right away. So if you notice, the Empire fleet did not have TIE bomber in the starting, which I was really surprised about because my opponent has a 7-star TIE bomber that he's kept in the reinforcements. Always keep the TIE bomber in the beginning because that's what makes the rebel counter really tough. And double tank and taxi is TIE advanced X1 Vader's X-wing is typically the lineup that you prefer. If you have a really fast um, relict up Gar Saxon and Imperial Super Commando, then you can take those guys in the front as well to make things tough for your enemy. But as you can see over here, I got 67 banners with my Rebel fleet without them even calling in a reinforcement. And then I take my own Empire fleet against my opponent's Rebel fleet. And here you see I take double tank and TIE advanced. And then I take Emperor Shuttle, who should always be your first reinforcement, either Emperor Shuttle um, or Gauntlet Starfighter. These two are great. They've got cleanses, they've got protection recovery. They should always be your first reinforcement when you're going in with an Empire squad. I always go in with Tarkin lead. And you can see over here, I probably don't need many reinforcement, but I just want to one-shot this team, so I got everyone in. Rebels can get tricky if they focus down the wrong people at the wrong time. So there you go. I take care of Cassinando first to get the taunt up, and now I need to be able to land the burning with the big debuff from TIE Bomber, and there it is. And that takes care of Biston, and I apply the other thermals which apply daze, and there goes Han's Millennium Falcon. So we do have um, an enemy ship coming in, but I decided to call in my gauntlet just for some extra protection recovery on everyone, just to top people up. And now it's just a question of getting rid of the other ships, which I think we'll do in a couple of turns now. Got healed up. Get a offense up over here, and there we go. That should take care of this ship. So end with about 64 banners. Anything above 62, 63 is perfectly fine in ships. So ship zone is taken care of. Now we need to get rid of whatever we have at the south zone over here. So I still have my Han Chewie. I love Kira lead under Han and Chewie, just because and typically for 5v5 what I tend to do is I like to speed up my Kira. I give her some good speed mods and get her at least 270, 275, just so that because the moment that Han goes and uses and gets a critical ability, Kira gets turn 15% turn meter, and then if she's at 270 or so, then she ends up getting tons of turn meter, and you can essentially get to control the team. She effectively gets at 310, 315, 320 speed right at the beginning, and you can go. Your whole team can control the enemy team pretty effectively. So that's why I always prefer Kira lead. I know that Wedge also gives turn meter, but there's just something about controlling with Kira that I really love. It's got amazing protection recovery synergy as well with all scoundrels, as well as a stagger. So that's another advantage. I had my Jedi Knight Revan as well, so I took that against the um, Relict Up Galactic Republic Jedi Squad, which is really not that threatening. I mean, um, there is a Qui-Gon Jinn lead in there who gives them tons of uh, tons of offense, but no, I don't think this one is Zetard. Otherwise, you would have got the foresight on the death. But yeah, the Zeta is the one which gives a little extra offense. So this one is a really weak team. Even though it's relict and all that, it's you can use many lesser teams to take this out. I mean, this is really overkill with JKR, um, but whatever gets you 54 banners is perfectly fine, especially if you can afford it. All right, the other squads. Yep, I think the next one that I go for is the crew squad. And what I decided to do is I decided to use my Basti Wampa against that Basti Wampa Watt. I ended up not using Watt anywhere else, so might as well use this. So yep, not Basti, but Stormtrooper Han. Stormtrooper Han, Watt, and Wampa are an amazing combination. And in fact, I could have used these same guys against Geos as well, because the Geos they've got a lot of hits which can which can cause Han to generate tons of protection back. Spice Big Hit is the only thing that you have to be a little careful about, which is why in 5v5 you usually have Fandor in there as well for the revives. But I think that these guys should be able to get the job done against Geos as well. Over here you can see this is not a really good first order squad. It's mostly G12. Um, and so they're not able to get any damage done on my Stormtrooper Han at all. And I specifically chose this squad because these guys don't have any AOEs. I think there was Fox in there before, and then Kylo Ren and Hux. None of these guys have any AOEs, so I can rest assured that the banners on my two side characters are always going to remain. And Stormtrooper Han, with all his protection recovery, he's always going to have full banner. So this is one of those guaranteed 54 teams that you can take in over here. There we go, 54. All right. And then against the last two squads, I decided to wait a bit because I wanted to see if I can afford to do a feat or two. So I waited till about an hour before the attack phase ended, and I noticed that my opponent did get a chance to go, Rosie. So they did pretty okay in the front wall, got one battle everywhere, with the exception of, let's see if I can move that. Yep, Darth Revan, where they got a couple of battles. So I think they might have tried their own Darth Revan mirror over here first, or gas, and they might have failed with gas, and then taken something else against it. So that was a good. Darth Revan pulled out a couple of good teams from the front, and then up top, mostly one shot everything. I think my opponent would have, yeah, all the teams are one shot. They probably would have taken something really heavy against that because look over here at the back, they struggled a lot against my teams. Two battles against my JKL and didn't even touch the other teams, and two battles against my CLS as well. At the end, this is the final result. They never their final score is 2366. So they definitely ran out of all sorts of teams, and they had nothing left for the Mando team, Finn team, CLS, or Dooku. So that was a good outcome. Four teams standing at the back, and struggled a lot on my malevolence as well. I think they did a negotiator mirror, but they didn't have enough to take out my malevolence. So I decided, given that I've got two zones holding, I can probably go in and do a feat. And there is a feat with Rogue One where you have to take in all three Rogue One characters. So I decided to go in and time out with a weak character against these guys, and then take in my Rogue One team after that. So this one is these guys Mando and IG and Quill, they're really great in 3v3 on offense. Or never keep them on defense because Geos can easily take them out for full banners. I've done it in the past as well. But on offense, you can take out some really, really tough teams. And I really like to save them for those pesky first order squads, either with Hux or first order Stormtrooper or Crew and Kylo. These guys do a really good job in ending with 53, 54 banners against those kind of squads. Crew is notoriously difficult to get down because he recovers tons of protection, health. on each buff and debuff. And these guys, because he does true damage with his whistling birds, it's really easy to take out Crew or Kylo. So I love using these guys against all sorts of first order squads. And in general, you should keep them on offense because in case you run into a Ray, Han, and Chewie, or a tough Ray squad and you want to use a Ray mirror, you can also take an IG and Quill and use them in with your Ray in a Ray mirror for a very safe fail-proof Ray mirror. And if you do that, then and you have Bando free, then what you can do is you can use Bando with your Han and Chewie, and that is a really strong team as well. Apart from Kira as a lead for Han and Chewie, Bando as a lead for Han and Chewie is also great. You can actually, in fact, even take out Gas with Bando, Han, and Chewie. So that's another tough combination. In case you want to keep your IG-11 and Quill with Rey, you can always use Bando with as a counter leader. So now I'm very close to getting rid of old Ben, and Leia gets brought back, but I take care of old Ben, and then I'm trying to control Leia and get rid of her. And I've got 5 stacks of whistling birds, so I target Leia, take her out, so she's not going to be revived. And now I just time the rest of it out because, as I mentioned, I was just going for a feat, and I felt Captain Han Solo is a pretty easy character to take. My Rogue One is not that great, but I decided to take in whatever I had, which is Jin lead with I think Biston and Scarif level Pathfinder. Those two are the only G12 only Rogue One characters that I have above G11. So I decided to take them, and they're decent. I mean, Biston is modded for both of these guys have got 60 mods, and Biston is modded for tons of critical damage just because he's an important part of my Mon Mothma team. So he does a decent amount of damage. So yeah, so not a big deal taking care of these guys. Plus, under Jin lead, every time that these guys apply debuffs, they have a chance to inflict expose as well, which serves as the main form of damage under Jin lead. I could have taken Cassian and K2 as well, but they're only I think G10 or G11 for me. They're not that great. So, I just took those guys in. So only one final team left, Bounty Hunter team. So I'm taking in my own Jedi. I have Basti lead. Anytime you want to preserve banners, always go with Basti lead. Uh, you know, it takes a while for semi-tough teams, for B-level teams to chew through your bonus protection. So it's a sure shot way of ending with full health and full protection. Here you can see I took in my Ayla as my damage dealer. I love using Wampa as a third over here, or sometimes Cam or any other character like that. But in this particular case, since I've just got Ayla up to Relic because of the general Kenobi GL Kenobi requirements, I decided to see how well Ayla is able to do in this particular squad, and I was pretty impressed with her. I mean, I've modded her for 120, 130% potency, just because I want her to apply stuns every time that she gets called to assist. So she excels in teams like these, which get called plenty of times to assist. So either under Jedi Master Luke lead or Jedi Knight Revan or under Basti, all of these teams call plenty of assists. So those are all great places for Ayla to be in. So that's there you go. We've got still full protection on everyone. We just have to take care of Dengar, and then we are good. So there we go. Ayla has taken care of that. Another 54 banners. So I did pretty decent in terms of banners, except for those 2 matches that I lost. One was a Vader against Geos, and the second one was a deliberate lost battle, where I took out. I basically did it for the feats. So there you go. A final score is 31-29. So without those 2 drop battles, I would have probably been closer to 31-7, 31-79 or 3169 actually, yeah. So that would be that's pretty much close to the max banners that you can get over here in division 2 at least, where you have to set 14 teams. Anything above 3160 is you're approaching max banner territory. 3150 and above is great one shot. 3130 is where is a really good efficiency as long as you've dropped only one battle. So I think anything above 3130 is puts you in a comfortable spot if you can make your opponent sweat and struggle. So there you go. That was the first match. I think it was a good warm up match. It was nothing too tough. It was a good warm up match to start the expanded rosters for 3v3. So I will catch you guys in a couple of days. And then don't forget to tune in on Saturday when I'll be joining Solo Base and Klesso on the Gambit podcast, the Gambit Fight Night. That's going to happen on Saturday because of the altered calendar schedule. So go on Twitch and be sure to follow the Gambit podcast crew over there. And be sure to catch me on Saturday as I live stream my battles. That's going to be a lot of fun with Klesso and Solo Base. So definitely, tune in for that one. All right, that's it for now. I will catch you guys later. Happy gaming and take care.